Yes, I'm going to start early, assuming that this is actually working. I always love it when it's like, gee, is this working or not? I don't know. It's the excitement of life. That's not it. That's not it. That's it. Welcome. It's Saturday morning. It's been that week where we don't even know what day of the year it is anymore. Welcome to the Art of Rock. And the whole objective of Art of Rock is we try and help you keep your music and art going in the turmoil of this world that we are in right now and everything about it. We're just going to try and keep each other going. And I shouldn't say try because we are keeping each other going. And I just want to say every Saturday, join us here for Art of Rock. It's streamed on Twitch and YouTube, but Twitch is better because the comments are more fun. And that would be great. And many of the people who are here support me on my Patreon. And if you wanted to support me on my Patreon, you'll do me a massive favor. And you're going to help all this madness continue to go. And once we're done with this, we're going to stream on over to MTV TV because it's bloody awesome. And if you got a video, send it to MTV TV and they will play you because they are, as mentioned, bloody awesome. Let's get right into it. Alex, you had a great question. Hit me with that question.
Yes, I was wondering what everyone was listening to recently and what inspires you. Maybe I can start. For me, it was The Powers That Be by Death Grips, because I really like how they incorporate very experimental electronic sounds with really also experimental vocals that are also really punchy and to the point. And especially the part where they sample Björk.
They sample Björk?
Björk, yeah.
Wow. I thought if you did that, an army of pixies would rain down from the north and kill you.
Well, they actually asked previously, and they got like stems, proper stems.
Wow.
From her.
And that was Death Grips?
Mm.
What was the album called?
Powers That Be.
Powers That Be. Bloody amazing, man. That's great. All right, there's one. Someone else, give me a suggestion. I'm currently listening to traditional Indian music. And it's just beautiful. I used to sing kind of traditional Indian music, and I'm trying to get back into that. And it really inspired. I want to build, because I've been listening to drones in E, because the blast is in E, and I want to build, sounds that are healing and, I listen to the polyrhythms and that stuff, and it just absolutely destroys my brain. And just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful music, and the singing and what they're singing, the notes they're singing. I mean, like, it's not an equal temperament scale, but when you listen to an approximation of what it is. And I'm really inspired to just to experiment, and I want to build a patch on the Rev 2 that's this big drone, and that's got a fifth in it that fades in and out of reverb, and just kind of like have a sound bath, because I think I really need a sound bath right now. Ivan, tell me about your amazingness.
I listen to way too much stuff these days. Depends on the day. I will always be okay with defaulting back to like more David Sylvian, more Ryuichi Sakamoto, and Ingrid Chavez, because she's in like probably one of the two best lyricists on the planet at the moment. Like, poetry is just beautiful. And she just great stuff. At the same time, I really like Cat Rape's Dog.
Awesome.
And I'm super excited right now because Clock TVA is about to release a new album, like for the first time in like 1,000 years. Yeah, and like freaking they were leaders in electronic music for a while. Like, but I don't think the rave scene would have gotten where it was if Eddie Newton hadn't, done a filter sweep.
Did they call themselves industrial because they're always mentioned in.
Oh.
I had industrial compilations and they were all over them.
I've got it here somewhere. The reason they got called industrial was because they were on the industrial label. So like they're so industrial, they were on the label.
Wow.
Yeah, back in the day when it existed. And I've got one of their pressings from then, because I'm a weirdo. And I really like Clock DVA a lot. But yeah, so yeah, and so yeah, like that's always in the playlist. Anything by Edward K. Spell is going to be in the playlist because, he is probably one of the other best lyricists on the planet at the moment. His use of language is like he is able to take mundane strings of words and like leave you with just layers of meaning. It's beautiful. And then yeah, so like actually no, I pretty much covered. Oh, and then there's my whole like weird, like Eastern European, Russian, Ukrainian like pop music thing, which I really like Cat Rapes Dog. I really like Vintage and Viagra. But like you listen to the Eastern stuff because when somebody in Russia or Ukraine says that they're a vocalist, it doesn't mean that there's somebody in the back using auto-tune for them. It means that they hit notes.
Yeah.
When I don't even know if I don't even think that they don't think about any of it the same way we do. Like they expect musicians to make music. And be good at it, and like they strive to hit that. The other cool thing about the kind of like the pop music from that world, it's like the 80s never ended, in that like they approach it with the same kind of like enthusiasm that we used to have, and now we just have manufactured like boy or girl bands these days that mostly dance instead of sing, or have the ability to write music or play music. Whereas like most of the artists over in Ukraine and Russia, they write their music. They can play their music. It makes them a bit more fun. Then the attitude there is just, it's so worth the attitude. And then they still make music videos. Like we used to have back on MTV when MTV made music videos instead of like, just guys standing on a dark stage with some instruments.
That's why I'm loving the I love raga and the Indian stuff currently, because it's and another thing is the mastery of their musicianship. And it's like really blows my mind that they're playing this. It just blows my mind. It's just really inspiring. Hack. Oh, sorry, Ivan, were you done? That was a good rant, man. Thank you, Graham.
Hey, so yeah, two artists that, they're really incredible in just their vocal range, and even better if you're trying to work on breath control or just warm up for the day. Like if you like kind of dig on their songs, and they're very eclectic. Leaky Lee, she's got a song called No Rest for the Wicked and a song called Gunshot, and holy shit, like just the dynamic range of it and the way she sings it is incredible. And also Curly, she's got an entire album called Shadow Works, which is badass. So if you're thinking of concepts for your album, et cetera, it's like that one's strong, and it proves like what you can do if you decide that you want to get hands on and like build your own sets and not rely on digital effects and just a bunch of clutter and a bunch of crap. But that's another. Curly's got an amazing vocal range, and the entire album, like wire to wire, is just wild to hear what she does with it.
That's great, man. Thank you. Does anybody else want to jump in at this point, because this is a good conversation? Or we could talk about Razzie.
I got one that got on my radar. I think they're a little bit under the radar in general, but a band called Shocking Blue from the late 60s. They have kind of like Jefferson Airplane vibes, like it's kind of trippy, kind of weird, but with kind of hard to define childlike approach to the things. It's not amateur and it's not undercooked by any stretch. It's just got an interesting, unique angle and approach to melodies, and it's got some Eastern influence kind of stuff as you'd expect from a psychedelic rock band. But the singer has just a really unique presence. I think they're from Netherlands. I'm not even that familiar with their stuff, but I got turned on to it by this DJ Julie, who has a couple of WFMU shows, and in general she tends to find these gems, like weird goth as fuck John Denver songs that a lot of people have covered that you didn't know were his, kind of stuff. Anyway, those two together, between Julie's FMU shows, I'll put a link in, and this band Shocking Blue, just kind of outside what I usually get in my ears, but really satisfying.
That's lovely. Thanks, man. Just, Alex, before I throw to you, there was actually a quote, because, you know, back to the Indian stuff. There was a quote where one of the people was saying that she was a vocalist. She was this master, you know, and she was saying that music is like food, that what you have needs to be fresh ideas and inspired. Otherwise, you're serving your audience music that's past its use-by date, not fresh food. And I just went, wow, that's brilliant. Really, really, really confrontingly encouraging. Alex.
Yeah, it's not really recent, but also another group that really inspired me was a group called Group A, which has almost which SEO is almost as bad as the product, but they make really cool industrial music, and they don't try to sound like it, but they sound a bit like Throbbing Gristle, because they have like this very minimal drum machines, and then much electronic and acoustic manipulated samples and so on. They are really worth checking out if you find them. I think they're somewhat disbanded now, but one of them has a solo project called Todd Onyx, TOT, and then Onyx.
I love it. Cool. Hey, you know what? On this subject, let's talk about Throbbing Gristle, because I think it was you before mentioned starting with sound and starting with sound and building from them, which is something beautifully that Throbbing Gristle did. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about new instruments. Alex, what was your original question?
I think my question was, when you get a new instrument, may it be a plugin or a hardware synthesizer or even maybe a violin, how do you approach it, coming without prior knowledge? How do you find its sweet spots? What's your progress of finding out what to do with it?
The floor is open. This is a lovely Chris. Razzie, what do you got?
I'm going to do my go-to with synthesizer as the answer, like a plugin or a piece of hardware. It's a little bit clinical, but I put it in a state where the ADSR volume envelope isn't doing anything, where it's not affecting the filter, where it's not affecting the pitch of the oscillators, and I make sure that there's enough gain, and I take the amps on however many oscillators there are and turn them down. Then, if it's a simple enough synth to do this, I'll step through its waveforms just in isolation like that, hearing what a single oscillator sounds like without any filtering subtractively, for example, if it's a subtractive synth. And then listen to if I can get overdrive from the filter, and I'll sweep that through its thing. I'll give the filter some resonance and sweep that through its range, and just get a feel for how the simple interactions happen between oscillator and filter, because those are like the heart of the synthesizer, traditionally speaking anyway. If you can get, let's say, heart and lungs, to extend the metaphor, you'll get a real sense of where the life is in the thing just from those alone. And of course, start finding also with the filter wide open what you can do between the two oscillators or three oscillators. Like if they have cross modulation or some sort of synchronization, you can start modulating one oscillator with the other one and start getting a feel for what timbre shifts those cause, and then step through the presets if it's got that sort of thing. Maybe something like that.
That's lovely. Alex, your hand is still up. Did you want to throw something in there?
I wanted to maybe answer my own question, but
Please,
yeah,
do.
I don't have much of a methodology. Maybe I'd just try a raw saw wave and then try to guess how it affects another if it's together, because I feel like sometimes the interaction between the oscillators is much where the spirit of a synthesizer lies. Maybe sometimes it distorts going into the filter and it gives it a certain character, and also how much the oscillators drift and so on, which makes it really different. And of course the sound of the filter also has a huge impact of how a subtractive synthesizer sounds. And other than that, I think I just go through every feature and try to play with it. If it has ring modulation, I just try it out. And and sometimes it's like I feel like I try to go back to sounds I've created earlier, and sometimes I can't, and it's a mystery of why it worked and now it doesn't. That's sometimes that always annoys me.
Cool. Ivan, what you got?
I am totally with Raziel on that one. Running through and finding out what each oscillator can do, and getting through the filters and getting through like modulation in the ADSR, seeing how those components work on that particular machine or VST is always a great place to start, because then you really understand what it's doing. And then of course, then I will spend probably the next couple of days running through the presets and just playing scales on those just to see what they sound like. And then usually the next step after that is like each preset wants to be played differently. And so then I'll run through the presets, playing them the way it seems like they want to be played to see what it can do. Then we get onto the super fun. I start trying to make my own patches and figuring out what that's going to be like. Also, like when I got my virus, I did write a song just using like defaults, like everything just default, like blank patch. And I should probably get it through mastering and get it posted, because it's kind of fun. Also, who in the hell would make a patch? Who in the hell would write a song with like everything that is just on default? It seemed like it would be a fun challenge, and it was. Also, but at the same time, there are certain synths out there that are going to totally mess with you on that, like the wave state. That is going to mess with you. Just getting through the oscillators, it's going to mess with you.
Love it.
So that's me.
Thank you, and welcome Rob, who's in LAX, who just came back from Sydney. Jesus Christ, I want to go home. Love to you, Rob. When you can, jump on. You're always welcome. It's funny that I really hate presets, but I find myself listening to them to say, okay, what can this thing do? Because like with the Minimoog, the Model E, the Voyager, for example, like every time I sit down at it, I always make it sound like a fucking Minimoog, and I have to get away from that, because there is so much you can do on a Voyager. Like it's fucking insane what you can do on that synthesizer, but I don't. So I always go through going, wow, I can do that. I should try and, try to make something more crazy. I still, it was funny, only this morning I was, wow. Rob had Rockstars on his flight. I had, what was I talking about? Yeah, Wendy Carlos, Hooked on Bark. I was listening to it only this morning, and the album is this constant reminder of, this is what you can do with the synthesizer. Because when that got made, the Moog sound hadn't been created yet, or the this sound, or the CS80 sound, or the Jupiter. It hadn't been invented. It was like, let's make a sound that's got this fifth, an octave higher, that's adding as this high harmonic thing. It's this really free concept in building sound. And I can't think of an album that is as free in its expression of creating sounds as that album is. Because that album, it had nothing to compare itself to. Like, apparently when Wendy Carlos actually got the Moog Modular, she didn't even own it. It was on loan from Bob, because Bob thought Wendy was awesome. And then later Wendy bought it. I think that's how it worked. I don't know. But it's just really interesting that when I'm trying to build sounds that suggest color. And this doesn't answer the question, but I've got this, if I'm trying to build something aggressive, I'll have something aggressive on the screen. I don't know, a horror movie or something, or a car chase. And I'll try and be creating a sound that sounds like what it is, visualizing. But the, for Ice Planet 9000, I've got all of these images of, Chris Foss and Sid Mead images, the sci-fi 70s, early 80s illustrations, the fucking phenomenal paintings those guys did. And I just scroll through them. And I just get inspired. And I try and build things that are galactic like that, or that suggest that image, or suggest a smell. So yeah, it's funny. My one hang up with the I got a couple of very minor hang ups with the Rev 2 is it does not have naturally occurring pre filter distortion on it. All this shit you can do on it, but there's just these few things. It's got a distortion unit built into it. That's great. It's got a whole bunch of shit built into it. That's great, but yeah, it doesn't distort. But I don't know. Yeah, just allow yourself time to fuck around, because I guess unfortunately so often we don't let ourselves experiment and have fun. And something I want to do maybe today is grab the Rev 2, go downstairs, set it up on the table downstairs, and put it on the bench in the kitchen or something, and just sit there and create a sound. Like, in a different environment to make a sound. And I'm really blessed that I have this. I have a place where I can do that. I have various rooms. But I'll take your Moog, your synth, and sit it on the bed, and have your iPad or your phone or whatever, watch something on the screen and just sit there and create in a different environment. If you can, go outside. But don't put them in direct sunlight, because synths don't like direct sunlight. Yeah, as far as other instruments goes, I guess it's also fucking around. And I just bought, FYI, a whole bunch of 12 gauge wire. Jeez, I wish Vince was here. 12 gauge wire for the blaster, because I want to make a string that's one octave higher. And I'm actually going to make a whole bunch of strings. And the cool thing about this one is that I can screw shit out, and I can replace and exchange strings if I need to. But yeah, so there's that's going on as well. That always experimenting and always trying to find that, you know, thing. It's funny how there's a little A&R guy in my head that's going, oh, this isn't going to sell, they're not going to dance to this, da-da-da-da-da-da. But you've got to be able to just lose yourself, and you got to dig. You know, there comes a time, I've always said every album, well, not always, but often, you've got to follow the Duran Duran Cure thing, that the 3 tracks on a 9-track album, 3 tracks are for hits, they're singles, 3 tracks are for the fans, so they're kind of like a bit more into the tabernacle, the temple, and then 3 are for the band. And those 3 songs are keeping the engine of what started the band in the first place alive. And that's, you know, something that, you know, I feel that we're being pressured out of. You know, oh, you know, you can't do that because you can't make it if it's not a hit. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Fuck off. Alex.
Yeah, I think my best patches are also the ones where I don't think about what I'm doing and just go with the flow. Unfortunately, sometimes when the design of the synthesizer doesn't allow it because it's too convoluted and too many menus, it sort of hampers that. But I think like if I have like a minute to make a patch, they're usually one of my best patches because I just okay, that, and then just it's just feeling and not cognitive for me. And yeah, maybe the synthesizer that started this question was I got a vintage Korg.
Woo!
And yeah, I've got it since a year or so, but it's the sound of my childhood, and that's why it's so nostalgic. But I feel like
Which Korg?
It's the O0W. I've talked about it.
Oh, the
3 times.
O&W. Yeah, great,
Yeah.
great.
But I feel like I'm sort of struggling to make cool patches because I feel like I don't get it what the designers of the synths meant for it, because I always want to go usual synth, and that doesn't work so much on this particular keyboard. So I need to figure things out. But yeah, that's what sparked this question.
That's great, man. I think the thing about, you know, watch videos about what people did with the O1V, or even better, don't. And just go into it saying, what can this machine create? Because like my recollection of the O1V is it's this beautiful, ethereal fucking sound of heaven in a cave with beautiful reverbs, and it's just like, the universe, is that on it? What's the sound on an O1V?
What do you mean?
No, O1W. You got an O1W, right?
Yeah.
Does that have the vocoder on it?
It doesn't.
I had the O1W. That had the vocoder, the FD or something. That was an O1W, the rack?
I don't know, but maybe you know.
No, it wasn't the O1W. It was the O1 something. But yeah, I had a friend who had the O1W, and it was just fucking beautiful. But it would be interesting to say, okay, what can this thing do as far as like angry sounds and, you know?
Yeah, I think most people just use the presets because that was when it sort of got in vogue. But I think it's really interesting because it has all these tricks that early synthesizer manufacturers had to do because the processing power wasn't there to emulate an analog synthesizer. So it has like emphasis and exciters and so on, and it's not what I'm used to. So I think I'm just underutilizing it. And of course, I think I should just use pitch modulation way more because that has it nailed. This thing.
If I can really quickly, Arezi, I see your hand. The great thing about, if you can put, how many LFOs does it have per sound? Is it just one or is it several?
One for filter and one for pitch, I think.
Great. Put an LFO on the pitch. Really itty bitty, and it's 2 voices, or how many voices per sound?
2, but you can layer up to 8 sounds.
All right. One voice has no LFO on it, so it's just bam, and then the other voice has LFO on it. Really, really gentle. I'm talking a couple of cents, a quarter of a tone. And it's so what it's doing is it's sitting in there almost like a chorus, and it's just adding to the fat of it, and you'll get some beautiful strings out of it. Really, really pretty strings. And the other one doesn't have it. It's just sitting straight. But, you know, when you start talking about exciters and stuff, that's really cool. Jesus, emphasis. I remember all that shit. Great stuff. Great synths. Rezzy.
I was going to say my approach changes slightly on a classic Rompler, and it's still stepping through all of the partials and waveforms to see what they are. But, you know, they all sound kind of like samples playing back. Does it have the M1 pole hit? Did they carry that over?
The what hit?
There's a classic. I was kind of joking, but there's a striking a fence pole, a metal fence pole, this resonant ding that got used a lot in a lot of. I think it came from the M1 originally. I might be.
No, it was. It was the M1.
But, yeah,
I used it.
It's a funny sound. It's like, you know, like 808 cowbell kind of throws back. But the adjustment with this is there's two things. My first Rompler workstation with a floppy drive was a PVD PM3, and pushing the parameters past their max limits by modulating with the LFO or something that adds. So you'll say tune one of your sample playback oscillators to full pitch, then apply the LFO and see what happens when it goes beyond its max. And sometimes you can get these buffer overruns where it'll run into other samples and actually start playing back from, you know, other areas of the sample ROM. And also on that synth in particular, I would totally be doing everything I could with all of the wave shapers and you know, non-linear functions that it has in the audio path, because that's where the screamy, crazy shit lies.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I love it. Ivan, how's your fucking sampler?
I love it. I have not gotten to spend nearly enough quality time with the physical hardware running it. I have, was it a couple of days ago, ran into a YouTube video about Tibetan singing bowls, because they do have that beautiful resonance going for them. And I got very like, I almost went out and bought a set just so that I could record them and turn them into, you know, use the samples. Instead I went and downloaded a sample pack, which is close enough to good that it, you know, I'm okay with having spent like $5 on it. And I dumped that into the Arturia Emulator 2 VST, and near as I can tell, magic is coming out. So next step is going to be, yes, next step is going to be to get that into here and see what the, you know, physical emu can do with it, because I'm fairly certain that this real magic is going to come out of this.
Sample it as low as you can. If you want to get grit out of the ESI 32, you have to go 11K or 16K. That's where I believe the if you go 11, or I think it's 10K on an EMAX shit, and the Emulator 2 shit, it starts to really fall apart. But 20K, 16K on those synths, they start getting grungy and octave or so lower. And when you start biting into that with the filter, you get beautiful fucking sounds.
Yes.
And that's the absolute... And Alex, you're going to find this as well, because a lot of those samples, I think, on the O1V, O1W are only one sample. It's not a multi-key sample, I think. The piano is, but some of them are. So if you play, for example, that pole hit, go, I'm sorry, yeah.
If you, no, and the M1's got that pole hit.
There you go.
My M1's out in the other room right now.
So that would be my suggestion, is when you put it in there, drop it. Drop the samplet at a low thing. Also look into Chicken Translator. Chicken Translator is software that will go from anything to anything else, and I'm pretty sure it will go to the ESI 32. Look into... Fuck. Actually, I'm just going to shut up for a minute. This might splatter because I'm going to check the internet. I'm going to throw it to you, Rezi. Then I want to come back about Emuser.
Yeah.
Floor's yours, my friend.
On a low bit rate and limited bit depth sampler without smooth interpolation like that, the trick for the grid, my money, is you play the sample back at 2x, so it's pitched up an octave or octave and a half. Play it back down into your normal pitch, so that when you play it back at concert pitch for that particular sample, it's got all of that non-linearity and all of the dirt that gets introduced by the cruddy sample playback engines tuning it down. And sometimes you go 2 octave, but that'll get all those incredible harmonics and things. I mean, it sounds like a Skinny Puppy sample from before Vivisect 6, kind of era. Like that's the kind of tone that you get on their speech samples, but it makes it really musical and colorful.
Razzie, back in like 86, I Apple II assembled a sampler because the cassette ports on the back of an Apple II were just audio ports, and so I would microphone in on the input, and it was an Apple II. The best you were going to get out of it was almost 8-bit.
Yeah.
Almost.
And you didn't write any smoothing for the algorithm between samples to interpolate between them. Just play them back slower and...
Yeah. When I tried to put in some, but like there was no room. Not if I wanted to actually have a sample. Like
brilliant.
128K was... All of it was executed in 128K. Holding the sample... recording it, playing it, all of it had to fit inside of that little tiny space. But like it was gloriously grungy, like because it was what an Apple II could do. It wasn't much.
Genius.
Welcome back. Just really quickly, sorry about the splattering. That was my end. As soon as I use the fucking internet for anything at all, it starts splattering. Alex, just before I throw to you, Ivan, I put a link to Angelspit has an EMAX page that you're welcome to have a look at. And it's actually the EMAX page that was originally by somebody else whose name I don't remember. But they let me take it over. They let me host it. Then there's a whole bunch of EMAX stuff in there. But the real thing that you want to look at is EMXP. And there's a link to EMXP there. And EMXP is software that takes... almost anything and most things, and converts it into EMAX or Akai or something else, I think, as well. I think your sampler will read it, and I highly advise that you MIDI sample dump onto it, or not, because you still might want to use the inputs on it, because that's going to add to the fantastic sound of it. So I'll let you argue that one. And I'll also say really quickly, this week I found out that Commodore, who used to make the Commodore 64, a whole bunch of them went off to create a company called Ensoniq. Ensoniq is made up of Commodore 64 peoples. Didn't know that. The whole architecture is based on a fucking SID chip. Why am I not surprised? Alex, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I was watching a documentary about how the Terminator 2 soundtrack was made, and it also inspired me to maybe try, just as you said, just pitching down samples of regular instruments, because they did it there as well, of course with a Fairlight, which I don't have, but I think I'll get great results nevertheless. And my keyboard, you can select whether you want a multi-sample or just a single sample when you edit the sounds yourself. So it's quite convenient.
Awesome. Yeah, so your O1W samples. All right, right. Yeah, and that's Reza. You brought up the whole thing about anti-aliasing and interpolating. That's not what EMAX, Emulator 2, Emulator 1, all the really good samplers, like the ones that everybody wants now, they just got a sample and they dragged it out longer. And they put it into a formula saying, well, if you play this one key below, just drag it out 1/12 longer. Like actually get it, the bit rate, and pull it out so it's playing it back at a slower bit rate. So if you sample it 20k on this C and then you play it an octave lower, it's playing it back at 10k. And that's why it's magic. Modern samplers don't do that. They'll go, oh, let me make sure that the output is 96k and it's 24-bit and I'll fill in all the gaps. No. And that's what's great about a lot of those plugins of the, Emulator 2 is that they emulate what it is to stretch a sample out. Blah. Yeah, don't get me started on samplers or we'll be here all day. Hey, Paw. Hey, Paw. Hey, Paw. You don't have to be poor anymore. Okay, sorry. Alex, your hand is up and I keep interrupting you.
I don't know if you said it, but I think the early samplers literally changed the rate where the D2As worked. So it didn't like recalculate it, but just changed the D2A clock rate.
Yeah.
Which I think someone should do again because it's cool. I don't know.
I overwhelmingly agree with my heart full of grit. I think that it's like this is what I'm loving about all the new Angelspit stuff that's being released on the Patreon, is that it's all shitty 11k samples that are being run through distortion pedals or not, because I love the album Construction Time Again. I love that album so fucking much. And I love old Ministry and I love old Front 242. I fucking love that shit. And, this is the stuff that I was doing in university where, if you've got a sample and it's on the E, it's in time. And it might be like a crunching metal, but it's resonating so that it's actually playing an E. And it's crunching in time with the beat. Then you throw it down a tone, da-da. Now it's out of time. Let it be out of time. And the whole idea that you might have a sample of something that's got a rhythmic thing in it, and the key is that the track's in E, for example, but this sample is resonating in C, or something that really shouldn't be in an E. You don't pitch correct it, you don't fix it, you leave it. And that's what was magical about so many of those albums and so much of that early fucking hip-hop. Man, I'm telling you, early hip-hop, 88 through to 92, it's the identical twin sibling of industrial music. We were using the same gear with the same ethos, and we were all angry about the same shit. And we were usually from Chicago and Detroit. But it's just the most lovely fucking thing. So I would, I would just so be, I mentioned a while back that something I love doing is getting a sound, and obviously Depeche Mode did this, get a sound and you want to put a delay on it, so just, instead of making the loop this part, so it goes dung, loop there, put the loop right at the beginning, so it's dung, 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 so, and put a slow decay on it, so it goes dung, 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 dong, dong, dong. And each time you hit it, no matter where you dung, 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 no matter where you hit it on the album, on the keyboard, that sample length is going to change because the sound's getting higher or lower or quicker or faster, depending on if you play it higher or lower. As does the sample length. It's fucking the loop point. It's really, really fun. It's a most lovely thing. Fuck around with shit like that, and in your pads and everything else. Like, having a sample of something harmonic, like the blowing it, like look at the fucking stuff that, you know, the Peter Gabriel, you know, when he was working on Gabriel 1 and 2 and 3 and he's fucking around on his Fairlight, and listen to Jean-Michel Jarre's Oxygen and Magnetic Fields. Listen to Magnetic Fields. Listen to I mean, not Oxygen, Zuluk. You know, listen to how the shortcomings of these instruments was used as a thing to experiment with. And I am just so fucking inspired and challenged just to build one track on the EMAX, not 3 EMAXs, 1 EMAX. And I just really, it's something I really, really want to do. And why don't I? Because I'm a wanker and I have 3 EMAXs and I have to use them. I'm such an idiot. I've got it down to 2 though. Did I see your hand?
Maybe you can load the same samples, slightly depitch them, and then pan them.
That's a good idea. Although the great thing about the EMAX is you can say, I have a sound, whatever that sound is, and I'm going to pan it hard left. Then, so that's the voice 1. You can have up to 2 voices on it. Then voice number 2 is going to be the same sound again, panned hard right. But voice 2, I'm going to detune it, itty bitty, and then I'm going to delay it. So it's going to go chung like that, and it's this big fat spread. It's just fucking great. So that shit I need to do. And it's such a pretty synthesizer to look at. EMAX, man, it's just, look, it's fucking Miami Vice. I told you I used to live in a house where the walls were colored EMAX colors. Like each button, I walked into this house going, this is putrid. This is the most horrible colors I've seen in my life. It just makes me want to get in a speedboat with my suit jacket rolled up, and then I unpacked my EMAX and I went, this was meant to be. It was the same colors. Beautiful synthesizer. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now and somebody else is going to talk, because don't start me on the EMAX.
I can talk. I'll be the guy that shifts the train tracks. Hard right. Would you like to discuss prep for a photo shoot / Vice prep for a music video? Are they different? Are they the same?
I would love to do that. And just on that, keep an eye out. August the 3rd, there's MTV TV are replaying the music for a shoestring budget that we did on right here on Art of Rock, and join the Facebook group. There's going to be a chat going on while it's there. I'm going to hopefully be there. I might have opera work on. I don't know yet. But watch that shit. It's going to be great. May I talk about doing a photo shoot? Thanks. Okay, so my thoughts about a photo shoot is you've got an image in mind. And if you're actually setting up a set, which could be the corner of your room, you know, you have to make a calculation to say, in order for me to pull out and to get this shot, you know, if it's going to be a CD cover, it's got to be square. You have to take into consideration that different media want different aspect ratios, and you want the photo to walk across all. A banner's something like this now. So, my thought is you go into it, and I highly recommend getting a photographer. And if you can't afford a photographer, get somebody who can take photos and give you direction. Because not only do photographers know about light, where to put lights, they can give direction. And you need that. Because you have no idea what's going on. Trust me, you won't. Go into this with a shot in mind that you want to get. And then there might be a second shot in mind you want to get. But remember, what you've built is a sand pit. It's a play pit. and you and your friend, hopefully, or whoever's involved, are going to be in that play pit, and you're going to play. There's that word again, play. So my recommendation is get that shot and then play. And also, the edges of your set, have them in such a way that if you need to extend them, it's easy to do. So for example, the edges of your set might go to black, and that's great because you can draw black out really easily, or it might go to white, or it might go to red. I would suggest black or white because they're really easy to pull out. But that's a thought. And while you're there, shoot a video because you've got half, 3/4 of the work done. So just shoot a video while you're there. I need to do videos, but I'm having a bit of internal issue at the moment, and I will get to that soon, I hope. Grim, your hand is beautiful.
I would say too, yeah, in tandem with that, I mean, hell, like make it an event where it's going to be fun for all parties, because that's probably how you're going to get the best bang for your buck, so to speak. So yeah, I'd say like get snacks, get food, ask your buddies what kind of drinks they like make a day of it to where like the best sets and the best films I've ever been a part of are where people feel comfortable, you know? And it's not just this daunting list of I need to get shots A through Q or I'm just going to lose my fucking mind. It needs to be, well, yeah, cool. What are you driving at? Well, I want to be, I want this image and I want this character to be looming over. Cool. Have a buddy that's willing to like lay on the ground or, be on a mechanic's bench to roll across the fucking ground so they could take pictures on the ground. And like Carl said, like, have somebody that's honest feedback that's like, I need you to tip your chin like so and move your arm like this, things to nail the shot instead of you doing interpretive dance in front of a camera and then being like, I really hope that turned out cool because shit, it's just me and a tripod, So yeah, make it fun because I mean, like the last Grim photo shoot we did, I just wanted to make my neighbors concerned for their physical well-being. I mean, I wanted to fire up the fog machine and do different characters and just fucking try a bunch of badass shit. And we got a lot of really, really amazing shots, and better yet, unintended shots. I mean, we got shots to where, depending on the angle, it was a dark black night sky, but it actually looked like blood falling out of the sky, like blood mist. Don't know how, but it's probably because it was Death from the Four Horsemen. He just does that to cameras. But that being said, yeah, I'd say like we've said 1,000 times, have fun with it instead of it being this grueling shit task. Because otherwise, nobody's gonna want to be there, and nobody likes to work for to nothing. Yeah, at least have some amenities.
I totally agreed. Pizza. Pizza, drinks, butter. If they drink beer, and always have a non-alcoholic option there as well, because some people don't drink and some people fall asleep and some people aren't good when they drink. So yeah, pizza. I'm sorry, Rezi.
I make it a grueling shit task, and that's why nobody shows up. So I have a little bit to talk about solo shooting this for stills. One of the best composition tools is getting a large monitor hooked up to the output of your camera. Most cameras will do this. If you don't have a DSLR, there's ways to get your cell phone to do it also, but get so that you've got your set built, got your camera placed, you've got a screen right next to it, and hopefully either your phone has an HDMI out to do your composition and get a look at what you're actually doing, or if it's a camera, actually a DSLR will have a live view that you can either do over USB to your computer with a large screen or a direct real-time live view HDMI into a television, large TV. And then ignore it. Don't be looking at it because it's gonna be mugging for the screen rather than expressing yourself. Things to watch out for. And shoot 100 times more than you're going to use maybe approximately. So I mean, film is free now, in this sense, assuming we're all shooting digital. The approaching the shutter release rate of video, and you'll have, you know, a burst of 10, a burst of 20 for every time you fire off the trigger. And this is also assuming you've got a remote trigger system of some sort, either your camera's remote system or you know, a way to use your smartwatch with your smartphone to trigger it off. Most of the things support that. But having just way more shots than you think you're going to need, so you can select from the subtle, you know, differences among them, and even recomposite later to, you know, get the best aspects of all shots and find some little subtle and interesting and exciting moments that you didn't know you were even getting because they're between poses. There's a lot you can get if you're just constantly shooting, and you spend a little bit more time doing your selects and sorting and trashing, but throw away the bad ones, get rid of them, don't even keep them, and you'll still have dozens of candidates for a couple of you know, true selects that you can then either send to somebody for editing or do your own editing on and use. And then I think, Grim, you touched on it, is pointing the camera around a little bit, even if it's in your, you know, perfect exact angle, wardrobe change or two, angle change or two, just to pick it up while you're there, since it's already set up and you already did your makeup and hair and wardrobe and, you know, situation. Have a little bit of extra, you know, maybe you'll get a whole other angle that you didn't expect. Maybe you'll get a whole different wardrobe combination that you didn't expect to use, and come away with it with a few different things to use, since you spent all the time doing the setup.
Brilliant. Thank you. Ivan. Ivan, you're muted, my darling. Ivan, you're muted, my darling. You're back.
Okay. Yeah, I just started releasing to Bandcamp, like David Sylvian inspired stuff, and you know that's going to result in making video. One thing I
do you want to put a link down here, and I'll put it up here. Put your link down here.
Oh, I will drop the link in.
Is it on Spotify yet?
No, it's not on Spotify yet. Right now, it's just on Bandcamp, but that's going to change. But yeah, I'm going to end up shooting video, and like probably for the first one, I got a friend that can run a camera. Freaking like 4K DSLR, pseudo DSLR cameras on Amazon are so cheap that who cares?
Are they?
Oh yeah. I mean, I paid like $100 for this one.
Could someone point me to one of those fucking cameras, please?
I will post the link to that as well. And then, you know, I mean, I learned Adobe Premiere ages ago because I was making like machinima videos with video games, and I did have probably a very unique advantage that I was working at Midway Games at the time, and I was going and showing off these videos to our, like, you know, the guy that made the videos that we used as commercials. And, you know, he taught me many lessons, not just in using like Premiere and in complaining about Premiere, because, you know, he was a professional and I was not, but also like, you know, for cutting and making the video make sense, like really big advantages there. Also, yeah, let's throw this out there. Once you start wanting to doing something a bit more involved, know where you are and what you've got available. And I'm not talking about stuff, I'm talking about like people. Like, cause like Carl, you're in LA. There's a big ass, like, high-end film school there, full of students that need to finish projects and get them turned in. You could probably make a deal with somebody and make something pretty good. I've got the advantage of being in Milwaukee, where UWM's film school is like the number 2 or number 3 experimental film school in the country, and they need to finish, you know, they need to finish projects to get through school, and I can, you know, help them out with that and pay them money at the same time. Like, win-win for everybody. Also, I think, you know, getting those kind of younger film guys involved, you're going to get kind of a more, you know, like unencumbered perspective from them, so you can get more crazy sauce, which is good.
Thank you. Thanks. Just give me a sec, Grim. Like, after this, if you guys can seriously help me, because I need a fucking camera. My camera has broken, and maybe that's part of why my whole life is just a pile of shit. Because my fucking beloved, my Rebel T2 or T3, whatever it is, the Canon, I love it. I love it. It lasted me 10 years. And the little bastard stopped reading the fucking, couple of pixels died. I did so much stuff on that thing. I love that camera so much. But she died on me and I was so upset. But if you guys, after this, if we could fucking help Carl find a new camera, that would be bonzo. And if it was a Canon, that would be even better. Thank you for these links. Yeah, oh man, I need to, it's so funny that I had, when I first shot Crunkhouse, it was in Australia and it was on a Hasselblad. And, yeah, Helen's a motherfucker, and it was film. And we had shots to get, and you couldn't go click, 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 click. It was like fucking film. And Hasselblad film ain't cheap. And that's why Crunkhouse looks so incredible, because it's a Hasselblad. And Hasselblad, I think, they shot the moon landing in a studio on a Hasselblad. They're the best cameras in the world. Helen then got digital Hasselblads, and we shot, subsequent stuff on the digitals, and they were great too. But there was just something really interesting in saying, okay, you have to do this. There's going to be 6 shots. We have 24 shots per film. You can afford 1 round of film. That means 4 shots each. And doing that was a real fucking, it was like, hold your breath, go. It was really good. And this is, hold on, this is your music, Ivan? Good man. Hold on, give me a sec. I want to put this, boom. I want to make that public, because that's good shit to see. Yeah, I would, I maybe, parts of my mind have to wake up. That's no one's problem except my own. And chocolate will help me. And not drinking, my God, has changed my life. I'm telling you, man. I didn't drink a lot before this, but fucking alcohol. In fact, I drank hardly anything. My problem with alcohol is it puts me to sleep. And I'll watch another episode of fucking Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, let's go.
Carl, the thing with alcohol is every once in a while you have to reestablish your relationship and remind alcohol that you're in charge instead of it.
That is,
as soon as it thinks it's in charge, it will take you to the worst, darkest, most hideous places, and it'll be like, no, you're comfortable here. Let's find worse.
Yeah, and I thank my higher power that alcohol puts me to sleep after 2 drinks. When I was a kid, I fell asleep at every party because Carl would get drunk and fall asleep by 9 o'clock. And I did this all in Sydney, everywhere. It's Carl's party trick. And I thank my higher power that I was blessed with that, because I've seen what happens to people after 2 drinks. And it's, I'm not capable of forming an addictive relationship with it because I fall asleep. And I don't sleep very well either. I grind my fucking teeth and I'm blessed. I'm so fucking lucky. Anyway, I digress.
I'm from Wisconsin, where 2 drinks is actually 7.
Right. Yeah.
Also, yeah, I can't recommend enough. Just find a good therapist, like I did. I'm so much happier because I'm more self-integrated.
Yeah.
I understand what it means to be me better, and it's been amazingly valuable. And I've only been doing it for a year.
Good on you. And if drinking is a problem, AA. Alcoholics Anonymous is free and it's fucking amazing, and it will teach you about yourself, and you will be surrounded by people who are motherfuckers who are facing the dragon, and they are out to conquer that damn beast. And it's a fucking good place to be. Public service announcement. I'll throw this to you now, Grim.
Hey, so I was going to say, yeah, words of encouragement too, and I'm glad Resi brought it up. If you are by your onesie, I mean, still, like, have fun with it, do whatever you got to do to plan for that shoot. and be like, okay, well, my toe line is here. You know, this is how far I can go to where I'm in the frame. I got all my framing and everything set up. Plan your day out, similar to what Carl said before, where you prep the day before. You got all the hard bullshit out of the way. You got everything set up. You got everything that you want, so you're not scrambling. And it's a photo shoot. It's not a wake. Let me just say that as the easiest analogy. It's a fucking photo shoot. It is not a wake. You don't have to be reserved. You don't have to be quiet. You can play a speaker with music that you fucking love. If you want, you can put a little earbud in or something, but something to the effect of making it fun so you can get a diverse array of shots. And another helpful tip would, I'd say, once you got everything set up the way you like, just treat it like it's a game of freeze tag. So you don't have shitty blurs and stuff in your pictures. You're like, pose, 2, 3, pose, 2, 3. But the point is, have fun with it, because there's nobody that's gonna, well, hopefully not, nobody's gonna drop kick your fucking door down and be like, what are you doing? What are you doing in that costume and that makeup and that fucking background? You know what I mean? Like, the fun police aren't gonna show up. And if they do, well, I don't know how to help you there. But point being, make it fun and just fucking, like, I can't tell you how many photo shoots for Grimm just have crazy shit playing in the background, and it results in the best shots, you know? And it can pull you into that feeling of like, oh, fuck yeah, or hell, even play your own instrumentals, you know, to where you'll get in tune with it. You'll get in tap with what you want to do. If you don't have a friend to encourage or help you, you can do it solo, but the difference is how you approach it to actually make that fun.
Thank you. I want to pick up on that. Several go-to albums for me is Duran Duran Rio, Duran Duran Planet Earth, because it's got girls on film on it, and anything by Devo. Having a blast, having so much fun in a shoot, even if you're doing horror or whatever, is going to come through. And that's the funny thing, is that this is interesting. I find that you have to really focus and drive energy through to get energy onto the film. But it's funny that Helen, who used to shoot Angelspit, she shoots for Vogue. And she says the trick is, you know, when you go shopping and you're looking at I'm looking at this product, and you're reading the back of that product, that's the face you need to have. Absolutely blank, because what's going on in the scene, what's going on with the lights, what's going on with everything does the work for you, and people are going to go, oh wow, I really sense evil or happiness or whatever is going on. Just think about that. Oh, soy. Oh, color 341. And try not to laugh. You're shopping. And it's funny, I still work a lot with Miss Ballistic, and the Carly and Emmy are both models. And if the camera's going click, 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 shot, 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 and it's just amazing watching those guys work, and get a fucking model. Get a model to help you. And that's why, do this shit with a fashion or a fashion photographer or somebody who has experience with fashion. Because it's all about what is going on resonating through you. Within fashion, a lot of the times you're just a coat hanger. So just be a coat hanger. Be a coat hanger to this idea. And I was thinking, you hear it all the time, an idea is the most dangerous thing. Let it be dangerous. Let you be a vehicle for it, while listening to Duran Duran eating pizza. Yes, I'm glad we agree on that. So fuck around. And look, I'll just say it again. If you want a guitar on your track, get a guitarist. If you want your track to sound like some huge band, perhaps get somebody to produce the track who has done huge bands. If you want your photo shoot to be amazing, get a photographer. If you can. Get a fucking photographer. because they're going to make a difference. These people, it's their thing. They sculpt light. I don't know shit about that stuff. And when I'm doing a photo shoot, it's like, I hate myself. I look like an idiot and wah, 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 wah. Our photographer's going to go, okay, let's do this. Buddha, Buddha, Buddha. Brayden, welcome. Razzie, I see your beautiful hand.
Just adding, get a photographer you like, because if you already like their shots, you're more likely to get some, I think it might stand to reason as given, but it could be difficult to find somebody who's going to not make you look like prom photos when you didn't intend it, or somebody who does a lot of crit stuff just doesn't get where you want your shadows, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Sorry about the skipping there as well.
Give yourself a head start.
Yes. Excellent advice. Okay, does anybody else want to talk about... Welcome, Brayden. Does anybody else want to talk about the fantastic world of photography or shooting stuff or butter, butter, butter? Or does anybody want to talk about... Rezi, I see your hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, before we do move on, I downloaded and watched this, I think the same video on a shoestring that we're talking about being replayed on the plane when I was going to West Coast to shoot my video as a bit of inspiration, and man, it was just a great watch. I really came away with a lot of inspiration and momentum, and highly recommended. I wish I could be inserting myself into the grid, go back in time and be there for it, but watching it's definitely the next best thing.
Awesome. Thanks, man. It was good. There was a lot of really good... Take it easy, Rob. You're a rock star. Rob's leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when he'll be back again. Anyone? Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Rosie. And Braden's trying not to laugh. Yes. Yeah. It's a great watch. I just posted that in there again. Jump on the MTV TV thing, and it's going to be bloody awesome. Does anybody want to... Do we want to have another topic we want to bring up? Oh, I see your hand, Alex.
Maybe how to find fellow musicians you want to make music with locally. Where are the best avenues, and how do you realize that you click with people?
Okay, do you have open mic jams in the city that you are in?
Yes, my problem is only that these people tend to be like singer-songwriters, and I don't know if they want to make maybe more beat-oriented, harder music. So
there's got to be something somewhere around where, even if it's a party, even if it's something, to find people that want to do this. And there's a part of my brain has just gone, but it's a pandemic, and it still technically is a pandemic. I did a podcast. I edited a podcast about long COVID. Did I tell you guys this? This shit is fucking real. It's 30% of people are vaccinated, no matter where their vax is, no matter how bad the COVID was, are still having effects on their lungs, kidneys, brain, liver from long COVID, and they don't know how long it's going to last. And these people have been triple and quadruple fucking vaccinated. So just FYI, there's still a fucking pandemic. There's a lot of open mics you can get on that are virtual, because I know Ryan the Magnificent, he does virtual mics, open mics, and you should research that, because I think the best way to attract bees to your flower is show them your flower. Actually show it, and people will come. Because, if there's an ad or something saying, oh, look, man, I want to make music, it's like, who are you? What have you done? But if you're somebody who is actually out there trying in one way or another, that would work. If you want to do it locally, then I would suggest trying to go to open mics with a face mask. Or do a virtual open mic in your area. If you want to do it virtually, there are a whole bunch of people here who might be into doing what you're doing. Sound and Shadows might be a great place as well. The Sound and Shadows Facebook group. Jump on there. And also like Angelspit's Black Pill, Red Pill group as well. Get out there. And I know it's really hard. Believe me, I know it's hard. Walking out my front door is hard. Doing these are hard for me. A lot of this, I believe, for me has to do with my own dealings with the pandemic and stuff. But if you let your brain go where it wants to go, you're going to dig a grave and lie in it. Or I will. So you've always got to be taking risks. And sometimes that risk is just making a post. Why don't you make a couple of short videos? 30 seconds, 1 minute of you fucking around or your tracks. Put them on Instagram, put them on Sound and Shadows, and just or industrial Reddits or something. I'm in the blah 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 area. I want to let's jam. It could be virtual, whatever. Thought. Rezzy's got his hand up.
I also just wanted to take it back. I think everybody on the panel would respond in a similar way. If somebody approaches you with I like what you did on this track that I heard, it's really cool, can you do something like that for me? I mean, I always respond favorably to that kind of thing, and I always contribute willingly, and it's kind of the opposite of high risk in that way. And also the worst you can get is I'm busy or a no, which isn't terrible, but it's not always as much of a barrier and risk if you approach it with something like that you're genuinely, have a motivation for because of a true affinity or something you really dig.
Truth has been spoken. Graham.
I'd say also too, you could load a playlist of shit you love to jam to on your computer, but then use your mobile device to be like, go live, do TikTok, Facebook, WTF live, whatever you do on live, but have your set list playing in the background, your music, your buddy's music, MTV TV, but have all of that playing to where you're live and you say, hey, come hang out with me. You can find me at da-da-da-da-da. And if you want to collaborate, you can message me at X, or you can private message me and see, people jump in, on that. Or if you decide to do a live open mic gig, have your own little thing, bring your business cards, put up a sign, it's, this is my project at boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? To where people could snap a picture or interact with you. You know what I mean? There's few avenues, but I think I kind of like the music aspect. You know what I mean? You just got something playing if you're doing a digital live thing, so you just kind of, I don't know, energizes the room. And you might get people that jump in the chat. Holy shit, who's that playing in the background? Oh well, that's this project. You need to listen to it. You know what I mean? And you could have a lot of engagement going, just based off of what's that thing you're listening to,
Brilliant, man. Ivan, what do you got?
There are getting to be a lot more and better, like DAW to DAW jam, over the internet tools available. The good news is they're getting better. The bad news is we really can't fix the speed of light and latency problem because physics says no. And physics is a harsh mistress. I meet a friend of mine in early pandemic, spent like 9 months trying to solve the speed of light problem, or to improve the speed of light problem. And there's just no getting around it. But the tools are significantly improved and easier to use, and they're also becoming affordable, whereas they used to be, you know, like you had to still had the horrible latency, but it was really expensive. You know, hey Steinberger. But yeah, now there's getting to be like nearly free tools, you know, that are way better than that was. So I'll dig through my plugins and post some links on that, because super handy. And you know, Alex, just be willing to talk to anybody. Find those musicians who, you know, like you sync with because you've been talking, and just be like, hey, we should jam sometime. And you're gonna be kind of surprised at how many are like, you know what, that sounds great, because everybody has gotten so tired of sitting around at home by themselves. We live in a world where everybody is just tired of sitting at home by themselves.
The truth. Alex, I see your hands.
Yes, yeah, I think playing in a room with another person is really important to me. And right now, I just thought maybe I just need to lower my not expectation, but maybe my list of requirements, and just try to make any kind of music just with another person.
Yeah. Jamming really teaches you a lot. And jamming is a remarkable way of making music, which so much music used to get made that way. All music used to get made that, well, a lot of it. And it's something that we're losing contact with as we increasingly subdivide ourselves into dust, particles of dust. Trying to reform, you know, because you're going to learn stuff from people, and they're going to do things that, you know, you're not going to expect. Like Ryan, I used to hate the second, you know, the second of a chord. I hated that second, the second note. So if you're in C, the D, hated it. Don't know why, I just hated it. But Ryan would always hang on it. And it was beautiful. Really, really beautiful. Because it just held this emotion. And I kind of really got to love that. And, you know, and you will teach so much. It's really important to. But what you said about the fucking bloody latency, man. Okay, let's do a game. I'm gonna count, and when you're ready, I want all of you to count with me. You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
5,
7,
6, 7, 8,
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14,
and just
15,
16,
So-
17.
And I just want to point out that all of us, we were counting in time, right? As far as you were concerned? Right. The latency was up to a second. And it wasn't a second with everybody. It was different. And it's like, you know, the best way around that is go, okay, we're going to be in this big swirling pad of D. And we're going to stay there for an hour, so we're going to be fine. You know, there's no beat. Or someone's doing the beat, someone else is not doing the beat. It's really, you know, doing jams like this are hard, but it's great for making noise music. It's great for making weird shit. Also, look into OBS Ninja. OBS Ninja is lightning fast. It's really, really, really fast. And you can combine performances, and you can jam off each other using OBS Ninja, but it's a bit of fucking around. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's it. I'm not talking anymore. Somebody else talk.
As Ivan was saying, there's no magic bullet. There's going to be too much latency to do anything rhythmic-based. And every month, there's somebody hawking a new, well, we've gotten the latency down to 64 milliseconds round trip, and it's like, okay, but you know, this still isn't a real-time solution, but they are touting it as such. it can't be done. I mean, if you're on the West Coast and jamming with somebody on the East Coast, it's already, I think, 30 milliseconds, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know what the...
I think that's a 16th at 140 BPM.
Yeah, and it's the problem isn't that you couldn't all play off one master tempo. Well, that could be done if there is a conductor participant in this jam session. There's ways of getting everybody to have the same latency from what they're hearing, and just you can't monitor each other as a round trip thing because the timing will be off. You can monitor one source, listen, and play in time with it, but when you try to combine other audio sources, it's got to get back and forth between two nodes through routers, and the timing just gets messed up. Too long.
See, one possibility, if I may really quickly, Alex, is you get someone and you do a jam with them, and you're the dude with all the beats. So what you're going to do is you're going to record your jam. You've got the beats and you're recording your jam on a Zoom recorder or your computer or whatever. High quality 44, 24-bit, whatever. Then you email it to them and you get them to jam on top of that. It's a thought. You start building up stems that way. I don't know. But you lose the... There is something about I am communicating with a human being in a language outside of verbal communication, which is mystical and magical and multiple dimensional. Because if you've ever been in a jam, like a fucking jam, it's off you go. Like you're connected. Something happens. And that happens online as well. In kind of delayed real time, but something really wonderful happens. Ivan.
Yeah, pre-sharing, using shared stems, you can make it even faster than email by just using like a shared Google Drive. So everybody's dumping and pulling from the same location, and you're still stuck. It's still, you're just assembling stems, and it's just a faster version of what everybody used to do when they were shipping tape to each other, or CDs. And it's great, and you can get a lot done. It is not the same as jamming in person because that's where like all the real mysticism kicks in and you find the magic.
And Wolf Raven, thank you for your comments. I'm reading them. They're awesome. Grim. Yeah, thanks, Ivan. Absolutely.
I would also like to propose, in the interest of, like Alex was saying, maybe someone kind of jams a little different, or their tonality or the things that they like to create are a little bit different. I mean, sometimes that's an advantage, where you can try a little more experimental. I think about the example of somebody's always thinking of, shit, if I only had that one voice clip from that one thing from a movie or a newscast or you might be able to reach out and say, hey, I'm doing a music project, but if you're a voice actor, I'd love to hear from you, So that by extension could spiderweb into something like, this is cool, I want to write a script and I want these key lines read by a voice actor that's really gonna fucking bring the heat, or give you different inflections and things, different ranges of emotion, people that actually like are aspiring voice actors or actresses. But the whole point is you could have a script of your own design of things that you want and more salient points, and you might be able to do a collaboration like that to where you have a cache of voices, just like we were talking about stems, and you can start grafting them into your art and making something really cool instead of just getting caught in that Alice in Wonderland downward, that fall to where you're like, shit, I found myself scouring the internet for 3 hours trying to find one notable quote to plug into this fucking song. But you could do collaborations, like I said, with voiceover, and might find something cool there.
Did you know, if I may, there is a website, and I, for the fuck of me, don't remember what it is, that you can type in any phrase at all, and it will scour this massive database of movies, and it will find you that quote. That's the most dangerous thing on earth. Mark.
I can tell you something more dangerous than that. There is a online website where you can type in any bit of text, and then it will use AI based on audio files from movies, media, music to read out what your message is in anyone's voice.
Where is that site? Give me the URL. And this is for Alex. It's not for me.
I'll look it up. I have some misgivings about it because technically, you can basically push voice actors out of a job because, if you're like, I want Sean Connery's voice, you can just use this and you'll have Sean Connery's voice and you don't have to pay him anything. It's just there.
All right. That's excellent. It would be great if you could share it because a lot of us can't afford a voice actor and we can't afford Sean Connery. So just throwing it out there. You share it or not. That's up to you. But it sounds like a bloody great thing. Because I'd get the Queen of England saying a whole bunch of shit. It'd be nice shit. But it would be stuff. Weird stuff. Ivan.
Yeah, they used that tool to have Alec Guinness read the Call of Cthulhu.
Mark, can I post this live?
Oh, sorry, I'm not muted. Yeah, go ahead. Like I said, it's not like a secret. Just like I said, there are some commercial licensing kind of things that are a little weird with it.
I hear you. Okay, good to know.
So, to me, I guess I treat it the same as I'm not against torrenting, but there are a lot of nefarious uses for torrenting.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, the Shadow of the Call of Cthulhu read by Alec Guinness is amazing. It's really good. And it's mostly sounds like him. Occasionally, it really doesn't. So it's a little bit glitchy yet.
Hey, can I ask you guys? You know how they have the image generators, like Midway? Is it called Midwest or something? And the are you guys aware of the AIs that are generating graphics? And they're beautiful. I think they're beautiful. Yeah, DALL-E. And there's a bunch of them. What are your thoughts on this? I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Alex, go.
I think it's fascinating, but also kind of scary. And I think it's like a weird mirror of the way humans view the world, because it sort of absorbs our way of seeing the world and throws it up in unexpected ways, and it makes you, at least it makes me feel a certain emotion of amazement, but also like melancholy. So it's like a weird fantasy world, and and I don't know, it's not creative because it's automated, but in the same way it comes up with things I think not a human wouldn't have come up with, just the way we work. It's amazing.
Thank you. Braden, I want to go in after you.
It was like 6 weeks ago. One of my friends had access to I guess it's like a beta version or whatever of one of those. I don't remember which one it is, but I punched in, just put it like Beksinski Spock into it, and it generated something that looked remarkably like an original work by that artist. And then that's one of them where it would do like 6 of them, and then it would ask you if you wanted to redo it all, or just like drill down on one of them and keep going in that algorithm. And deeper you went, like the more detail you got. And it was nuts. Like I couldn't believe like how good it looked. And then started feeding it just kind of differently thing. I think the opportunity for fuckery and fakery is abound on that. But then again, like we were also generating just completely original images, and I think there is a certain amount of creativity that goes into it, because you do have to train. You know, you're part of the training protocol for that AI. Was every time you feed it something, and I don't know. There's definitely some gray lines in there, but it generated some very cool. I thought were very cool images that I plan on using in addition to like further manipulation by myself as like album artwork and insets and backgrounds and cool things like that. But I mean, it's pretty cool. Even the Dolly light free thing out there can do some utterly fascinating things, just depending on what word salad you throw in there. So, but I think it much like, I don't think it's quite as dangerous as deepfake, and as destabilizing to the universe as that will probably be, but it is interesting and fun to mess with. I if you haven't played with them, I would recommend it.
Okay, if I may. So I have a friend who's got, I think he's on the same beta that's on Discord. It's that thing. It's amazing. And when we first saw it, we went, oh, this is terrible. It's going to put us out of work. But then we realized, we could come up with something, because I'm always, for a big release, I will always use an artist. Because I want to keep people fucking employed. But I can go to that artist and I can say, I threw in some keywords and this is what it came back at. And they are addictive as fuck. Because you will spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and your brain, it fucking expands your brain. Like, it really does. It's like, type in spires on Mars, or post-apocalyptic crash alien Mars, or creepy shit. Because this stuff is well and truly in the uncanny valley. And if you type in ghost, creepy, something, 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 face, holy shit. What this thing comes up with, hey man, I'm all about surrealism. I'm all about James Gleason. I'm all about it. I'm all about clouds full of teeth. But what these things are doing is fucking exciting. And man, if you're not going to use it on your artwork, like for example, Ice Planet 9000, we've got some singles that we want to drop. I can't afford to pay someone X $1,000 to make me a fucking... I really want to, and Walt's brilliant, but... And yeah, we're going to use Walt on the next main release, but on these singles, if you type in Nebula, Chris Voss, floating cathedral in space, it's... You'll be there for days, and the detail is ridiculous. So what's great, and I didn't bring this up before when I was talking about when I'm creating sounds, I like to have stuff going. I've got this because Michael Yale, who's fucking knee deep in this shit, he uses it for fashion ideas. So he'll give me all of this stuff, and I will just have it on a slideshow. All of this artificially generated stuff about floating in a nebula, and the light is reflecting through ice asteroids. Beautiful. And it just says sound to me. And then sure, get an artist to do stuff, but man, it's beautiful. I had another point and it's gone. Oh, what he does, I'll say it, is he will talk about jewelry. And when you watch this thing, if you say catwalk or model, when you watch it put faces together, it's freaky. It's beautiful. It's so fucked up. But yeah, if you want something of detail, for example, jewelry, or for example, armor or something, put it in there. Let the thing give you some ideas. It's glorious. It's really fucking great. Alex.
I think my favorite thing is when it generates something that looks realistic but isn't physically possible. Like, for example, there went an image through Tumblr where it was like a messy room, but you couldn't identify a single object in it. It was just the texture of messy room. And also I did this with the text version, and I told it to say something about the next Skinny Puppy album. And it says it has a track on it, which is about the first automobile accident that led to a fatality in history. And I thought it was kind of amazing. And I actually researched it, and it's recorded and so on. I thought about doing it myself, but I'm so behind everything, so I won't.
You know, thanks, man. All of this stuff says to me lyric aids, and it says to me visual aids and music aids, and sure. No, I don't think the computers are going to put us out of work. I really don't. Or we're a fucking long way away from that. You know, the day, because, you know, I've heard the Vocaloids. I listened to them 10 years ago, literally 10 years ago. They blew me away. But people make mistakes, and those mistakes become something fantastic. So I say embrace this new technology, let it fuel you, and if you can afford it, pay someone. You might go to an artist and say, look, I've got this DALL-E generated thing. I got $100. I want you to add to it. You can't pay him $5,000 or $1,000 to paint you something. Here's $100. Add to it, because I want to employ you. But I can't, you know, So that's what I reckon. Yeah, I think it's interesting, because you got to remember that in the digital realm, as far as they're concerned, we are not sentient either. So fuck them. Does anybody have something amazing they want to say, or bullshit they want to make up, which is what I do, and I am good at it. The day we get an AI Carl, we shall be fucked then.
How do we know we don't already have an AI Carl?
That's true. You don't.
Objection, hearsay, lack of foundation. I think the AI Carl would not self-proclaim themselves as a cunt as often as one does on the Zoom chat.
It would be a lot more...
Unless it's a very good emulation of Carl.
Yeah.
No, AIs have a superiority complex. They would not self-proclaim themselves to be cunty.
Nah, not true. If it's a good AI, it's indistinguishable from human.
True, but an AI would fall under the algorithm. And if it was going to say, well, you know, it used to be don't harm anyone's life. Now it's going to be don't harm the chances of this being streamed and seen by lots of people. Come on, is an AI ever going to call you a cunt? No. Is an AI ever going to, you know, oh, well, you know, after, you know, Judgment Day, sure. I had this interesting thing this week. It's a rant where, so the chorus master is a term that has been around for hundreds of years and is the person who, male or chorus mistress, the chorus master is the person who is the head chorus conductor. And increasingly, opera companies and choirs all over the world are moving away from the word chorus master, because it has the suggestion of a word that is servitude, to which I think is really interesting. That, sure, yeah, but yet we're servants. We fucking are. And if you don't believe me, quit your job, lose your health care, and have an accident, and you will see that you are a fucking servant, because you don't have that thing to fall back on. You don't have that protection. because you are under servitude. Yes, I understand the history. Yes, I understand. I get it. But here we are now. And I don't know. I don't fucking know. If it's going to help heal the past, sure, let's do it. Fuck yeah, let's do it. Absolutely, let's heal that past. But I just look around at a nation that is hurting. Sorry, was that way too political? I'm sorry. Rezi, get me out of this.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I keep hearing it, and I first heard it in database programmers talking about stuff when there's the primary and secondary database instead of the relationship terms. And I think it works. It's better. It's more specific. And it struck me as a little bit overcorrective at first, but then I thought about it and I'm like, oh no, these are optional terms. We don't need to evoke cultural, horrors for anyone in talking about stuff that has nothing to do with them. I mean, it makes sense. It hits. It's a good way to go.
I'm glad you feel that way. My concern is that I just keep trying to explain is that these words are not fixing the current problem. So are they going to take the term maestro next? Probably. It means master. But it's not fixing the problem. And it might be feeling going towards healing the scars of the past. Oh God, yes. Let's fucking heal those scars. What about the scars of now? What about... I don't know. I just don't fucking know.
Well, that's why we have artists. That's why you're here.
Yeah,
You'll figure it out.
It is. And of course, if those artists don't play by the rules, they magically disappear. Because the algorithm pushes them down. If they say stuff that is against what the agenda is, they get pushed down. Fact.
Evidence, please.
Are you kidding?
No, I just know you like having some.
Evidence or...
Yes, evidence.
Research this shit.
I like when you rant.
Okay, cool. I don't have any on me right now. I don't have it on my face right at this very minute. I could...
Half joking, but the specifics are the value. I totally... I'm rapt whenever you have citations and stuff on that tip because it is fascinating and it's a important area to always be paying attention to as entertainers who are feeling blocked from our audiences, and specifically messages that have veracity and truth not getting to people that need that truth.
I could gladly go through and research how increasingly social media algorithms are not interested in the truth. Can somebody tell me what the fuck that is? As opposed to the agenda. They're interested in the agenda they are pushing, and if you diss that agenda, you get pushed down. You get put in jail. You get silenced. Come on. Black pill, red pill got removed from the planet because black pill, red pill. And we couldn't do anything about it. We couldn't explain to anybody that it was taken from the Matrix. We couldn't do a thing. There was nothing to do. A really good friend of mine is in a coven, a spiritual coven called the Children of Isis, being the Egyptian god Isis. And they got removed. Could they do anything about that? And that wasn't a four-letter acronym. It was the name of a god, because a part of their religious rite was following the teachings of Isis. Could they do anything? No, they could not. They are gone. Do you remember the other week how we spoke about Edward Snowden and we talked about the Snowden cocktail? I told you guys. I made a post about that. If you could make a Snowden cocktail, what would be in it and who would you throw it at? And one person liked it. That was you, Diana. And then it disappeared. I could not access that post from my Facebook account. I could not go back to my wall, and I could not find that. It was gone. The only way I could find it is by saying, Diana Davis, like your account, like your post, click on that, and then I could see it. I made it public. I went through, changed it, and edited it. Gone. Why don't you do that this week? There you go. That's your everybody watching this and involved. Why don't you ask your audience, what would you put in a Snowden cocktail, and who would you electronically download it to? Now, I'll tell you, whatever the social fucking credit score system is that we live under, you're going to lose some points, and probably your post will magically disappear because you say his name. Was the guy a terrorist, a truth sayer, or a freedom fighter? What was he? Don't know. But he's a no-go. You can say other people's names in history who should be the guy whose name started with H. You don't say his name. But you can't say Snowden's name? The fuck? I don't know. Ivan, I see your pretty hands.
I would suggest, instead of calling it the Snowden cocktail, call it the snowed in cocktail. Because our little monkey brains will look at that and be like, oh, that's funny, I know what that means. The AI is going to be like, why would somebody be, covered in snow? I don't get it. Why would? How does it? No, I don't get it. You gotta. We can use language in ways that the AI does not understand.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Done. I wanted to do a track. I was lined up to do this track, and it's like I can't. If I call it that, is Spotify gonna? Oh. And please remember that this shit pays my fucking rent. I'm not some computer dude making fucking anything over 50 grand. If you learn how much I made, you would laugh. I don't have healthcare because I can't afford it. And so this is why, fuck yeah, sure, we've got artists to say this stuff. Yes. But the problem is we are now playing in this field that is dousing freedom of creative expression. This is the post I made the other week on my social media, and someone came back saying, one of our songs, I said, they said one of our songs called a kid a cunt. I went, that's great. Good for you. But you're not actually towing the line. You're not staring into the abyss going, you know what? It's not so bad there. There's nothing to fear. Whereas everything is going off fear. Don't even look in the abyss. Don't look in the abyss. Whatever you do, don't look in that hole. Don't look. Look over there. Don't look there because there is fear there. And if you do, you might get cancelled. Or you might lose social stigma. Or you might lose something that's going to stop you from fucking making an income or paying your precious fucking health care. Because, man, that's a hook, ain't it? Lose your health care? Really? And I'm not over-exaggerating here. Follow the fucking clues. This is what we are looking at. This is the picture. Could an AI come up with something as fucked as this? Alex, help me.
I think it's multi-layered and complicated, and sometimes you are the victim of dumb systems. And it's not always by intent, but sometimes it is. Like, for example, you can't say that on TikTok because you'll get X. I think that's quite stated. But I think sometimes it's just that, like, if you're making people feel bad, they won't engage as much, and that censors you by effect, but not by hard-coded intent. So I think, like, and sometimes it's also like that your whole livelihood is determined by maybe some person who's like overworked at Facebook, who has to go through different things that maybe someone reported or that were just flagged by a system, and they have to make a call, and sometimes that call ruins the person's life. So I think like it's this interlocking of different systems, some with intent, some without, and that can be like really detrimental. But it's not always. Sometimes it's just dumb.
Yeah, and both of those times of people getting banned and blocked that I mentioned, neither of them could say anything back. There was no place to click here if you want to say, hey, no, that's crap. I want to deal with this. It's the same thing with YouTube if you get a copyright strike. I pulled something from a public domain source. And I couldn't, because someone flagged it as being a copyright violation, they said, get a lawyer. It's not like, there was nowhere for me to go. Oh, and then they said, oh, by the way, this is strike 1, 2 more, and you're out. That's going to do good things for my fucking plays. That's going to do good things for my income. Hashtag fear. Hashtag, wow, look at all the freedom of creative speech that our artists have. Isn't it great? It's so great. My question is, who is training the fucking algorithm to be this paranoid? We are. Because we're saying, oh, don't say this, don't say that, don't say all of these fucking things. And the algorithm is going, yes, I will learn from you because you're training me. And as the algorithm gets more paranoid, we get more paranoid. So now we're increasingly cutting out all of these words. We are erasing history. We are going through things and taking out things that are offensive. You know, man, this shit offends me, but no one gives a fuck. You know, there is the whole concept of setting up a world in which our children have to play by these rules and cannot experiment outside those rules and cannot ask questions and cannot dabble in things like we did. Fuck. That's what really concerns me. Having a conversation with a fucking 13-year-old child, and I said to this kid, I want the rat, I'm doing artwork, and it's a lab rat. Actually, this happened twice. It's a lab rat, and the lab rat's white. Because lab rats are white. You know the ones with the red eyes? They're white. And he said, I don't want to do it white because I think that's it's racially it could be a racial trigger. And I said I want it to be a white rat because lab rats with red eyes are predominantly white. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what, we'll make it off grey. We'll make it an off grey rat. If you're not comfortable, we'll make it an off grey rat. The point of the matter is, it sort of made me go, fuck, like, what the fuck is going on here? What the fuck is going on here? And Alex, it's so good that you have free healthcare, and Australia has free healthcare, and England has free healthcare. I fucking hope it's going to keep that way for a long time, and I really hope that the balance of America goes back. But I kind of doubt it, because it's one hell of a form of control. You know, maybe you will just have to lose that kidney because you can't afford a fucking transplant. Sorry, Diana. Maybe you will just have to sit at home holding your chest, knowing that you can't fucking afford $120,000 for a heart attack. I have friends in Chicago, and we had to let this guy die because he couldn't afford the surgery required to fucking get his tumor removed from his brain. God bless America. Meanwhile, my mum was being flown around 11,000 fucking kilometers in a plane in Australia, visiting 5 hospitals that were the top of the list in the world for cardiac. Do you know how much it cost my mother? Not a fucking cent. Because a functioning government is supposed to look after its fucking people. And then people have the absolute audacity to say to me, socialist fucking healthcare in Australia. Fuck you. Fuck you. You know, for a fucking job, I really should stop the stream now. For a fucking job, I am trying to bring hope to the children of fucking Los Angeles with an opera company that gives a shit. These kids don't have anything. They are fucking homeless. And fucking who gives a fuck? Because, yes, it has a lot to do with the color of their skin. Yes, it has to do with the social demographic of them. But increasingly, people are being forced into the underclass. Look what's happening. Open your fucking eyes and look what's happening. We are fucked because we let an algorithm get us fucked. We are fucked because an algorithm that was fundamentally trained and programmed by people who had educations that we will only dream about. A small handful of these pinks programmed that fucking thing. People without health care or poor kids going to Santee in fucking Los Angeles, all they got to do was click on like. So that's where we are. And if I'm wrong, please fucking tell me. But unfortunately, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. So that's why I need you to support my Patreon. And while you're at it, support fucking MTV TV as well. Here is a link to MTV TV's Patreon. Keep those motherfuckers going. Keep them going. Because that's free fucking speech right there before it gets closed down by some fucking bullshit. Here is my Patreon. Support them before you support me. And as an artist, I am afraid, because my job, Angelspit's job has always been fuck you. That's what, but increasingly, in the titles of the tracks, in the lyrics and the concepts of the tracks, we are being pushed down. Because we have the audacity not to destroy God. I don't have a problem with God. You want to believe in God? Believe in God. Go do something good. Please believe in God. I have a problem with the corporate structure that is holding us in place. And so many other bands. In fact, I'm part of a genre that kind of got its start in telling the corporate structure and governments such as Thatcher to go fuck themselves. So, that's where we are. And my takeaway from this is I really like a snowed-in cocktail. And I'm going to start using that, and perhaps we should use this as a fucking hashtag or something. Because fuck this shit. There you go. Weaponize your art. And while you're at it, grab somebody who is younger and probably a person of color and teach them how to use a drum machine. Teach them that social bullshit from TikTok and Facebook is not be all and end all. Teach them that if you put on a mask and you fucking join your other friends in hell who are fucking soul and tax collectors, that even through the smallest thing, the creative voice must go on. Fucking do your shit. Because I believe we are entering a time of war. Because we're being told what we can and cannot say. That's what's going on. And they've got us by the balls, and I'm fucking done. So, that's right. Teach them a new synth. Teach them about music. Teach them about art. Because we're all elders now. We are leaders, and we are mentors. And that's what we're gonna fucking do. Another group I'm involved with is a group called Justice for Hire, and they take Kung Fu. And they are using Kung Fu and the thought of Kung Fu to empower young people. And it is a good fucking thing. There are many, many, many people with good hearts and very, very pissed off minds who are putting this anger into something positive. Fuck you, I won't do it, you tell me. Does anybody else have anything awesome they want to throw in? Because it's a fucking good day. Or should we raid to MTV TV, where we are going to see bands that don't get a chance to get played live? Hold on, Alex, shoot.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe get involved in local politics. I try to, but I haven't get out of my stuff. But maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, write them letters. Fucking write them letters and vote for the sake of fuck. Vote. Vote, 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 vote. Vote. We are just water slamming against rocks, but please remember that us as the waves move coastlines. It takes a while, but it will fucking happen. And this shit goes through waves. It goes through cycles, and I fear we are entering a cycle. Because the last cycle was only... Anyway. Rezi.
Thanks, Carl. I admire your indignation and appreciate how much effort and toll that can take on your well-being. And people like me who don't have the ability to form these strong opinions and say them out loud are having some slack taken up by participating as a listener in what you're laying down. Appreciate it.
And also, please remember that when you go into a bank or you're somewhere weird, not weird, fucking somewhere with some dude or dudette with a fucking suit and tie, I'm telling you that a lot of those people have fucking tattoos under that white collar. And they still believe in Black Flag, in fucking Fugazi, in fucking Rollins, in Sonic Youth, in the bands that they have tattooed to them. It's real. So, MTV TV, we're going to go there now, and if you're watching this stream, we're going to raid over. I want you to watch that damn channel, and like I said, I want you to back them on Patreon. Because we've got to keep this going. This is so important. Diana, would you do me the prestigious honor of taking us to the place of rock? Let's fucking do this. See you next Saturday, I hope. Unless I have opera on. This is a good thing. You rock.